Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys can all see this the window I shared with you. So so this is our second lecture for the CM
Okay.
356. So we did introduce the beam in the lecture notes one. So we explained the what we call is ND beam, right? So ND beam. So this is one of the question we'll be showing your assignment too. So with the ND beam, you are getting the idea from 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, and the 7D, right? So to answer those questions, so you can go back to the lecture notes one, then you are getting the idea about it. Okay, so that's kind of like a review for the um, assignment one. Sorry, for the lecture notes one, that's will be part of your assignment two. Um, so for this class, we will more focus on the project delivery methods. So in this lecture, you will review um, the project delivery methods. So first, I will asking, can you guys tell me some kind of the project delivery methods you already know?
Construction manager at risk.
So CM at risk.
Design,
Design build.
design bid build.
So you handle the design build. Anything else?
Is DBB the same as DB?
DBB. DBB is really different to the DB. Yeah. So because it has more bit process. Anything else? So we have the CM, right?
Yeah.
CM at risk, and we have the CM as agent, right? Is that correct? Okay. So yeah, I think you catch most of them, so that is great. So um, so if since you already did some intern during the summer or the past summer, so do you guys remember which project delivery methods your project used?
Construction management at risk.
Construction management at risk. Yeah, that is for what kind of project? It's for the commercial building, or it's for the residential project?
It was for the it was a commercial building, I guess you could say. It was for a school for East
Oh,
Side.
okay, that's great. So, does anyone else want to share? Thanks, Kevin. All right, so maybe you can uh still remember it, and then if you want to share, you can just pop up. Okay. So okay, let's move into the next. Let's talk more about project delivery methods. So as we know, before our construction project getting being complex and complex, so it used to be a very simple one. So if we do the simple one, that means you can likely uh, design your house, and then you can likely buy the materials, and then you can build it by yourself, right? So if we do this, there is actually no very clear difference between the design and the builder, right? But if we're getting a very complicated projects, then we needed to think about, we needed to separate the design, and then we separate the build. And then you will know some is a designer and some is a builder, and in the between, you may have multiple company on the market are seeking for the project to build. Then in this case, you want them to compete, right? So if you want them to compete, then you may find approach to select the best builder from this pool. So in this case, you are making a design, bid, and build. So that is kind of like the sense comes from. So as you see the slides over here, it's back into the 1456. So this church facade in the Italy is going to be built, right? And in this case, this is the first time that plans enable the designer to instruct the builders, right? So yeah, so for all those current project right now in our 21st centuries. It's all something separated by the design and separated by the builder. But until we have some DB coming out, so this sense is changing. So you can, as a single general contractor, right? They have the design team, or maybe they hire some separate design team to do it. So let's take a deep understanding of the project delivery methods and with the BIM today. Okay, so let's move forward. So okay, so this is the project in the progress I just mentioned for this facades. So it's very beautiful, but since it's beautiful, it has many different structure and architecture objects over here is required to be carefully designed and built. So we have reviewed. So we have reviewed the project delivery methods. So you guys all know the DBB, which is design, bid, and build. And we know the CMS agency, right? And also we know the CMS at rest. And also you has mentioned about design and build. And then the other one you guys did not mention is this integrated project delivery method, IDP. So that's some advanced topic. You guys will be getting idea from this class here, and then you will be getting more idea from our 438, which is a project management. So in your senior year, okay? So so let's first take a look at review about design, bid, and build. So when you see this one, you will see the design, bid, and build is the most traditional tab methods. So that we're starting with this one. So you will see the owner has two contracts. So one is with the designer and one is with the general contract. Yeah, and the general contract may have its subcontracts for the mechanicals, electronics, plumbing, structure, and more, right? So this is a more like a linear process with no overlap. So first you have the design phase, and your owner has a contract with the design teams, right? And after you finish your design, and then you open for bid. You open for bid, and then asking all the contractor, the general contract, to submit a technical and also the cost bid, right? As a package. Then you review its technical methods or the construction methods, or also review about the company approval. And then you review the estimating, which is the pricing that we're given, right? And then you will pick up usually to be the lowest one. So you will pick up the lowest bidder, right? And then issue this to the contract. So then you will decide who going to build your project. So this is a design, bid, and build process. So you guys can give 5 seconds to remember this structure, and then once we move into the next one, you will see the difference. But by the end of this lecture notes, you will be seeing all of them in the one time. Okay, so this is a design, bid, and build. Any question? Okay, no question. We'll move forward. So so this is something advantages for the design, bid, and build. So because it's the most traditional one, it's most familiar to the industry. It's very straightforward for the competition. Once you have your design documents and you open for the bid, and then the contract is based on those, and also they do their own investment because they want to know that the job site looks like, right? So except in all states and all markets in the US, and this especially doing for the government or the tax funded project, right? And the owner has the complete control over the design because when we're going back to see that one, the owner has a contract with the design teams. That means owner has their own favors, and the design teams can be satisfied with the favors, right? Meet the requirements. So, but owner also taking all those risks. So that is the challenges for the design, bid, and build. So there's no, or say limited communication in the design phase between the contractor and the design teams, right? Because when you finish the design, then you start in open bid, and then the contract will be able to understanding the design drawings, right? There's no or limited communication in the design phase between the two parts, right? Typically, the task is overrunner because you will have some design changes or the change of orders during the construction process, and then that's result in your original design or your original budget may be over, right? So yes, as mentioned, they maybe have some RFI and change orders. And also, this is a slower delivery methods because you will have some changes during this project construction period that result into redesign and then result in the delay of the entire project. Does that make sense? All right, so that is for the design bid and build. We understanding the overall contract or the contracts between the owner and the design, between the owner design team, between the owner and the contract. And we understanding the advantages, and also we understanding the disadvantages of the design bid and build. So the BIM has a limitation deployment or integration in the design bid and build. So that is the build is not involved in the design. So as we see the plot over here, if we can have the BIM involved in the early, that means we'll be able to impact the project early, right? And if we involve the BIM later in this project, then we will see the cost of the design changes will be increased. So as we learned from the lecture notes one, the BIM is a way to help you to make the decision early in the very beginning of your project phase. So if we do all those design changes later, then will cause our projects to increase, right? So as you can see from here. So that is what I'm just to mention this red curve over here. So let's move to the next slides. So the next one we're going to see is CMS agency. So CMS agency that is still in the contract structure is looking like this one. So so you will have your owner here. Owner has the contract with your designer, and you have your CM, and the owner has a contract, right? And you have your CM and your multiple general contract, or even how those are their subcontracts together over here. So the CM agency is managing your primary contract, but they do not have a contract. So there's no contracts between those two parties. All the contracts is between the owners. Okay, so the owner hires CM as its agents. The CM works with architecture and engineers. The CM perform the construction board review and the value engineers. So that means they are kind of likely have something to deal with during the design phases, right? So okay, so let's see the advantages. So the CM and the designer selected on qualification. So this can be a fast track possible. So the CM responsible for schedule and the budget. And you may have some multiple general contract available. So that's the advantages for the CMS agency. And if we're looking for the challenges, so you will see the owner still managing all those contracts. The owner has to sign and has managed the contract with the multiple general contract, right? So the owner still needed to manage the contract between the design team and the owner, and also the CM as agent CM team with the owner, right? So the final price is not established until all bids are received. So that means the bids means your owner open this as a bid to the general contract, and then they submit the bid, and then you are understanding how much the final project looks like. So that means the owner has a high owner risk, right? So let's see how the BIM can be involved in CMS agency. So it still be similar to the design bid and build. The builder is not involved in the designer because the CMS agency is not the build team. The general contract is the build team, right? The subcontract has a limited or not input to the design. That is the same way. Since the build or the general contract, the GC is not able to involve in the design, then subcontract cannot be involved in design as well. So yeah, this is another one. You guys may already see something over here, but this is a CM at risk, which is different to CM as an agency. So CM as risk, you have the owner, you have the designer, and you have the construction manager over here. And the construction manager has a contract with all the subcontracts, right? So this is only two-party contract. Owner with a designer and owner with a CM manager. What is the GMP means? Is anyone can let me know what is GMP means?
Guaranteed max price.
Yes, thanks, Kevin. Guaranteed max price is decided during the part one. So the part one means over here, right? And the continued part P all go out for bid, right? So so you see the owner has a contract with the designer, and you see the owner has a contract with the builders, right? And the GMP is part of the builders. Okay, so so the general contract involved early in the project. That is true for the CM at risk. The selection based on the qualification, same as CM as an agency, right? So a lot is in the duration design, and also a lot faster track. So the challenge is the general contract not early enough for significantly impact the project, right? Because when you're going back to see, you still see they has a design phase one. And then the GMP is over here. Then is your build is over here, right? So it's not early enough. So the owner owned all risk of the design. So the contract can still submit the change orders for the design issue not identified in the part one. Because in the part two, when you're actually doing your construction, you are facing some challenges, then you will be able to request for the changes or the design changes or the change orders, right? So another thing I forgot to mention is GC competes to win contracts. That's cost more because that is not a negotiable. So when you go into a competition, then they may working together give you a high price, right? So who knows? So how the BIM can be involved in the CM at risk. So so BIM can be well fitted to all the users, right? In the CM at risk because the general contract involved in the design phase part one, that will be able to getting some idea about how this project can be constructed, right? So this inspection of the BIM must be aligned early on willing to creating and share the models. So may not be contractually required. So you can bring in key subcontracts in the part one as a GC is already been decided. Then the GC can bring its subcontracts in the part one to involve in some special system design. Right, the threshold of providing BIM service can likely 15% of the DD. So question over here is anyone can let me know what is DD means? Blake, do you know what is DD means? Okay, so the challenge with in this Zoom teaching is happen. So okay, so the DD is design documents, right? Kevin, do you agree with me? Okay.
I got a question. Is design documents the same as contract drawings or contract documents?
The design documents is actually yeah, you will see this in the next slides. So in the next lecture, but I can tell you the design documents is the sense not really close to the construction documents, right? So sorry, give me seconds. Let me pull out that slides and you will get more idea about it. Okay.
Yuhan, for these questions we supposed to be answering, right? Like the ones you put in the email. How
That is for the assignment too. Okay, so I'm going to switch to another slides over here, and then you will be able to get in some idea about the what is the short of the DD means. Actually, we were going to review this later, but I can put out this early. So the question asking you to answer is in the assignment two, and yeah, let me go ahead to take a look at this as well, because some of them may be too early for you. Let me just make sure. Oh yeah, that's correct. So we are not able to do the assignment two right now. So because we will have something related to the so anyway, so I'm going to share these slides here. Then we'll be able to get in some idea about it. Yeah, so this will be something from the, let me to show. Okay, so can you guys see a new slides over here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
good. So yes, so this is some of the slides will be the same in the lecture notes 05. Okay, I got that one we needed to finish assignment 2 later. So I can put assignment 2 later. So you don't need to finish by today by just getting some idea. You are going to answer some questions and you can find them from your lecture notes too. But after you guys learning from lecture notes 5, and then you will be able to getting the idea about the assignment 2 more. But anyway, I put in here is, so when we're talking about the beam, so there's a concept called the lab of development. So we will go review this again, but I'm just show you some ideas over here is in these slides. So for the lab of development, or i.e. the ROD, so the required for the different stages for the model. So when we see the model is a beam model, so you can see from here, all those green stuff is for the conceptual design, right? And then for those blue stuff is for the schematic design. And then we have the design documents for the yellow stuff. And then we have some construction documents for those red stuff. So for the level developments, it's ranging from 100, 200, 300, and 400, right? So for the construction documents, it's CD, which is the question just asking, what's the difference between the design documents, design development, and construction documents? So for here, the question asking before is, the threshold to providing the beam service is 15% for the design developments. So the design developments is for the DD, right? And the CD is construction documents. So the design development is different to your construction documents. As you can see from here, the construction documents will be more detailed to make sure you can following it to finish your construction. But for the design development, it's not as detailed as your construction documents. You can get a kind of the idea about how this building looks like when it's constructed, but you cannot use it. You cannot use it as the guiders to help you to finish your construction operations, right? So yeah, that is to answer your question for that one. Also, we figure out you may not able to finish your assignment 2 yet, so we can push it back after we finish our lecture notes 5. Okay, so I'm going to share back with our project delivery again here. So so for the project delivery here, we have been reviewed the DBB, right? CMS agent, right? And CMS risk. So so then the next one we're going to see from here is for the design and build. So for the design and build, it's a bid collaboration methods. You only see one contract between the owner and the DB team, right? And then the DB team may have its design the design assistant subcontract, and also they have some other subcontract to finish the construction, right? So the owner has one contract with your DB department, and the builder have its own designer team, or if not, then they have its design team as been selected by the contract, right? So the owner has a contract with the design with a general contract over here, or the DB team over here. Then the price is the owner budget. So the design or the DB team may meet this budget or may cost less than this budget to finish the job. The less part, the different part will be the profit, right? So, but the owner will not pay more than this owner budget. So here are some changes for the project delivery system in the industry. But this data is old data, but we still can see some ideas over here. So you can see the favor of the owner and the favor of the architects and the favor of the contract, and the design and build has been increased. So here is some comparison between the design build and also the design build and bid, design bid and build and the CM as a at rest, right? So the unit cost for the design build compared with the DBB is 16%, 6% lower, right? But when you compare the design build with the CM at rest, it's only 4.5% low. In the other means, the CM at rest is better than your design bid and build, right? For the construction speed, the DB is 12% faster than the DBB, and the DB is 7% faster than the CM at rest. So that means the CM at rest is also better than your design bid and build, right? So the deliver speed, the DB is 33% faster than the traditional DBB. Also, CM at rest is better than the DBB, but the design build and build is much more faster than your CM at rest, right? So the cost growing. So the DB is able to reduce your cost growing, and the DB is also better than CM at rest. Schedule growing is better in the DB, and also DB is better than the CM at rest. So so that's currently an idea. The design, the build is a good option for the project delivery. It's better than the DBB, and also it's better than CM at rest. So some advantage over here, you will see the better calibration. You will also select based on the qualification. You definitely have the faster delivery. You can manage your cost through the design. And this has a protection for 0% change orders, because the builders actually involved in the design in the very early stages, right? They actually has a control of the design. So there's some challenges. So this is a trust-based collaborative team, because you are working with a different subcontract or the subcontract design team as well. So you may compete to win the contract, then you will be cost more, because when you select your subcontract, then you may have to compete, right? So not always, except for the public projects. So that's the challenge right now. So because most of the tax or the public or the government-owned projects is using the design bid build. All right. So you will see the BIM in the design build. You can fully leverage BIM tools and practice, right? You can have a single model evaluation, no double efforts between the engineers and the subcontractors, right? You can also finding the issue in the very early, and then not just see when the issue happened, you're going to fix it, right? You try to avoid the issue as early as possible. So so here are some ideas over here. So you can see this is more likely a design intent. It's more likely the design development, right? But when you're going to using the construction, you actually cannot follow this one. You are using the next one because it has the means and the methods, right? So this is more likely a construction documents level, the 400 level, 400 level of development BIM looks like, right? So let's think about the integrated project delivery system. So for here is more likely a brief introduction about the IPD, and when you go into your class for the construction management, CMs 348, then you will has more case study, discussion, deeply understanding about it, right? So for the integrated project delivery, so you will see they have a multiple party contract. The owner, the designer, the contract, and also the major subcontracts. So they share the risk and the reward, and promotes the communication and the collaborations. So the rewards and the risk is shared by the owner, design, and build. So the challenge, so this is a more trusty based and a collaborative team. So involve the different parties. you may need to compete to win the contract. That may cost more because you're going to selecting the shootball designer teams and also the contract teams, right? So that is not accepted to any of the public agents yet. So let's take an overview about the project delivery methods over here. So we have the design, bid, and build. This is contract. So this is the picture is this one, right? So DBB is this one. C, and you have the DB is this one. The integrated is this one. And this GMP is we call, right? So you guys able to figure out it? Any questions so far?
Never mind.
Okay, good. Thanks for answering me, Josh.
GMP is guaranteed maximum price, right?
Yeah, GMP is the maximum guaranteed price. So this part is going to here. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So that's the lecture for today. I'm going to stop the recording.